Pro-Palestinian demonstrators charging police with makeshift shields. Tonight, tension still running high at a protest at Portland State University. Good evening. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Police remain on the Portland State campus tonight, but in smaller numbers. The department not explaining why some officers are leaving with protests ongoing. Earlier today, officers in riot gear cleared protesters from the school's library. Some protesters appeared to try to get back inside the building late this afternoon. We haven't heard about demonstrators being successful, though. So far, police have made 22 arrests tied to this protest. 12 made when a group stormed the building this morning. 10 more were made this afternoon. As Fox's Christina Coleman reports, only 7 of those arrested are Portland State students.
Anarchy at Portland State University as anti-Israel protesters charged at police, rushing officers who were clearing the school's library occupied by demonstrators since Monday. At least a dozen arrests were made. 4 of those were not students at the school. Portland police say the library has now been cleared, noting they found what appear to be improvised weapons, including ball bearings and DIY armor. None of these were used on police. Christina Coleman, Fox News.
And tonight, authorities have not said whether they think a fire that destroyed at least 15 Portland police vehicles is tied to the ongoing protests. Investigators say an arsonist started this morning's fire at the police department's training facility. All of the damage done inside a fenced area. Firefighters were able to put out the flames quickly and no one was hurt. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek issued a statement today in response to the situation in Portland. She said, quote, "I fully condemn the criminal actions taken Thursday morning that resulted in the burning of 15 Portland Police Bureau cars, endangering first responders and the surrounding community. I have absolutely no tolerance for discriminatory harassment, violence, or property damage. This includes the acts of vandalism seen this week at the Portland State University Library and against nearby businesses. The state is prepared to exercise the full extent of the law." Tonight, cleanup continues on the UCLA campus. Overnight, police in riot gear cleared a pro-Palestinian encampment, making more than 200 arrests there. As Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf reports, the protesters were greeted by cheering crowds when they were released from jail today.
Pro-Palestinian camping protesters from UCLA now getting released from jail. The demonstrators greeted outside with food and cheers.
It was for a cause I believed in, and I was surrounded by my fellow students. I'm proud in being arrested tonight.
Early Thursday morning, UCLA police arrested 210 people at the camp for failure to disperse.
Back up.
The large encampment covered the campus's quad almost a week.
I don't see anything unlawful about it. I think we were peaceful.
Late Tuesday night, pro-Israel supporters clashed with encampment demonstrators. At least 15 people injured, some beaten.
I was clubbed 2 times in the head with a wooden 2x4 beam.
This UCLA student arrested Thursday morning at the encampment says he had to go to the hospital the night before with a concussion after the violent conflict with counter-protesters.
One side is being really just protective, holding a line, while the other side is coming up and being very aggressive.
You can't define this as peaceful when you're vandalizing school buildings, you're creating a system of apartheid where you allow certain people into half the campus.
Oh look, they're making their burger while I'm doing.
Cell phone video this week shows protesters blocking a Jewish student from walking through a section of campus, while photos inside the camp show graffiti on buildings and sidewalks, some of it considered offensive towards Jewish people. How do you react to the graffiti inside the camp, even swastikas?
I heard you mention swastikas. I've actually not seen any swastikas. I've seen a lot of the graffiti. We wanted it to raise attention to disrupt events because the campus wasn't willing to do anything.
Everybody I protested with would not stand with those actions. For doing such things like that, they're not really for the movement.
Was there some division between the group on that?
Okay. Okay. I don't think we're talking to media anymore.
Interviews cut short by demonstrators covering our camera, the group writing Free Palestine, this time outside the LA jail.
And that was Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf reporting tonight. The Gaza Solidarity Encampment at UC San Diego entered its second day today, and it has remained peaceful. From chants to songs to a midday prayer, scores of protesters have set up tents on that campus. The group Students for Justice in Palestine organized the demonstration. They're urging the university to cut all ties with Israel. That includes ending research partnerships with the Israeli Defense Ministry, the U.S. Department of Defense, and private defense contractors.
We're here. We have the privilege to wake up tomorrow to go to class. Other students in Gaza, other family members, people who wanted to graduate, they don't get that opportunity anymore.
Officials at UC San Diego released a statement which says the university supports the right to peacefully protest, but also commits to protecting the physical safety of the community. President Biden is now weighing in on the ongoing turmoil on college campuses over pro-Palestinian and anti-war protests.
There's the right to protest, but not the right to cause chaos. People have the right to get an education, the right to get a degree, the right to walk across the campus safely without fear of being attacked. But let's be clear about this as well. There should be no place on any campus, no place in America for anti-Semitism or threats of violence against Jewish students.
The president also said today the protests have not caused him to change his policies in the Middle East. Today, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs signed a bill to repeal that state's near total abortion ban, an 1864 law that was recently reinstated. And Governor Hobbs said this move is just the beginning of a fight for reproductive rights. Abortion activists gathered around Governor Hobbs today as she signed that bill to repeal the abortion ban set to take effect in June. The ban's only exception is to save the life of the mother. This new repeal won't take effect, though, until around October, and that means the near total ban will be the law in Arizona for several months.
Today, we should not rest, but we should recommit to protecting women's bodily autonomy, their ability to make their own healthcare decisions, and the ability to control their lives.
Arizona's Attorney General and Planned Parenthood are looking into ways to prevent a pause in abortion services during the limited time that near total ban would be the law. Once the repeal takes effect, a 2022 law banning abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy would be the law in Arizona. Coming up tonight on West Coast Wrap, sentencing day for the captain of a dive boat that caught fire off the California coast, killing 34 people. How long he'll spend behind bars. And an entire community gets credit for helping save a police dog's life. Tonight, doctors leading the charge share the special procedure and care that put Enzo on the road to recovery.
You're taking a look at a perfect spring day right there, right now in the San Francisco Bay Area. But the big weekend change the entire West Coast needs to know about. West Coast Wrap forecast coming up after this fast Fox break.
A scuba dive boat captain was sentenced today to 4 years in federal prison for his role in the 2019 boat fire that killed 34 people off California's coast. Captain Jerry Boylan was convicted last year on one count of criminal negligence. Victims' relatives had asked for a 10-year sentence. That fire near Santa Barbara was the deadliest maritime disaster in recent U.S. history and sparked reforms, maritime regulations, and lawsuits that are still ongoing. The exact cause of the fire remains unknown. A former auditor who raised concerns about alleged defects in Boeing 737 MAX jets has died. Family members say 45-year-old Joshua Dean died Tuesday after his health rapidly declined because of a bacterial infection. Dean was one of the first to flag potentially dangerous defects with 737 MAX jets at a major Boeing supplier. He is the second Boeing whistleblower to die this year. 62-year-old John Barnett died in March from what investigators say was likely a self-inflicted gunshot wound. A Las Vegas woman accused of murdering her husband 30 years ago filed a wrongful conviction lawsuit today. Margaret Rudden, now in her 80s, sued the state of Nevada after her conviction was vacated. Rudden was found guilty of killing her husband on this date, May 2nd in 2001, and given a life sentence. Then in 2022, a federal judge freed Rudden, ruling she was not granted a fair trial. Today's filing claims the victim, Ron Rudden, had, quote, a long list of enemies and that Margaret Rudden was targeted by biased and inexperienced police. The suit also cites a lack of DNA evidence and eyewitness accounts in that case. We're learning more tonight about the specialized procedure that was used to save the life of a canine police officer stabbed several times on the job in Las Vegas. Fox 5's Shauna Kalafi spoke to the medical team that made this treatment possible.
You sound good, buddy. You did good. You're a good boy.
When a canine is in crisis, Las Vegas Veterinary Emergency and Critical Care is there.
Veterinary Emergency and Critical Care, this is Caitlin.
Performing life-saving transfusions with blood from donor dogs.
Each donor that we have has their picture, their blood type, the last time they donated, and when their blood work will be due.
In March, Metro Police Canine Enzo was airlifted to VECC for emergency surgery after a suspect stabbed him multiple times.
He had a lot of wounds. We didn't know how extensive they were. There were a couple that were bleeding pretty profusely. For the first, I think, 2 days, he was doing great, no problems. And then there was one morning we were just rechecking his vitals, and we noticed that his red blood cell count was low, and we were like, it was a huge drop.
After a blood transfusion and some special attention, Enzo got to go home with his handler. It's one of many success stories for the only animal blood bank in the Las Vegas Valley, supplying blood and plasma to every vet hospital in the region.
It's a lot of work, it's a lot of responsibility, and the demand it can be really difficult to keep up with. You can see we only have currently one full unit of negative blood and 2 full units of positive blood.
Without their own supply, the VECC and other hospitals would rely on out-of-state blood banks, and at times they go through 6 or more units a day. So as high demand sometimes bleeds them dry, the VECC is searching for more doggy donors with both positive and negative blood types. They need to be 1 to 7 years old, 50 pounds minimum, but not overweight, with no chronic medical conditions or raw diets. And they need to be happy to be there.
Sometimes the dogs just aren't into it, and we don't want them to come in here and be stressed about it, right? We want them to be excited and happy and know that they're going to come in and get their pets and get their treats and provide a great service to all the other doggies in the world.
The process starts with a physical exam with full blood work and infectious disease screening. Then they can donate every 6 to 8 weeks, or as an emergency donor on call for the most urgent cases.
Our best ones are actually pitties. The pit bulls come in, they're so happy, they wag their tails, they're just happy to be involved. They love it, they love coming in. But Great Danes, the big ones, Great Danes, Mastiffs, like yes, because we can call on you more frequently. Those are fantastic to have.
During the donation, the blood is collected from the dog's jugular veins in their neck. It takes 5 to 10 minutes and rarely requires any sedation. Then the blood is separated into plasma and red blood cells and then stored in a cooler.
When we're done getting the donation, we'll bring the units of blood in here to be processed so that we can then have them turned into units of blood like this one right here. And then they come out looking like that.
Ready to use for blood transfusions often needed when a dog is shot, stabbed, or hit by a car, also to treat autoimmune diseases or for other surgeries. And each donation could save 2 canine lives, like Enzo's.
He's eating. For us here, knowing that like our dogs are part of that program and can contribute to such an amazing canine, also for the community to look at this and be like, oh my gosh, my dog's a member of that program. Maybe it was my dog's blood that Enzo got. You know, like those are just great feelings.
Shauna Kalafi, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
Thursday evening. It is May 2nd, and I thought that would be the perfect opportunity to take a look at your West Coast Wrap Drought Update. Let me get out of the way for you here, and you could clearly see West Coast is shaping up mighty fine here. Out of the drought, still looking at abnormally dry conditions around portions of Arizona and even Nicky, Nevada here, but otherwise we have more rain to put a dent in that drought update. We'll get to that with this. Take a look at our satellite imagery. We have a system upstream here, and I really want to elaborate a little bit more on that. But what we first would like to do is talk about this. Today's high temperatures across Seattle were a couple of degrees above average. Just a beautiful day at 66 degrees. In fact, the average high temperature in San Francisco, the city by the bay, 63, but today topping off at 65 degrees with endless sunshine. It was fog-free for this Thursday. We head into Phoenix. It was 93, up from the average high of 91 degrees, so a pretty near perfect spring day across the West Coast. Currently, our air temperatures in the 50s across Salt Lake City, also low 50s in Denver. It is 60 degrees in Los Angeles with the fog forming off the immediate coastline, and 50s and 60s noted across the Pacific Northwest. For your Friday, we're looking at this ridge of high pressure, albeit not really strengthening. It is actually weakening because of this area of low pressure to the north of us, but we're going to squeeze out one more day of near perfect idealistic conditions along the West Coast and well into the Mile High City out towards Denver. We do have temperatures in the 60s to the north of us. So your forecast for Phoenix for Friday, sunny skies. Again, today's high temperature was 93, and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you should top off at 92 degrees. Let's head on over to Los Angeles. And across the Southland, we're talking about an average high temperature of 70 degrees, forecasting that spot on by 4 p.m. on your Friday afternoon. It will be fog-free by the evening commute. Just wake it up with a little stratus in the morning hours. So this is it. This is the area of low pressure we have been monitoring all week long. It's very unusual for this time of the year. It's got a lot of precipitation associated with it. And also around the core, the center of that area, low pressure has a lot of cooler air mass. It will definitely affect British Columbia. Also, right into the Pacific Northwest, it will nick the northwestern quadrant of the state of California, but it will invade the Bay Area, just clouding up the skies for Southern California. In fact, Los Angeles, if it's a weekend, you know you got clouds in the forecast, but it will be precipitation free. Meanwhile, we are forecasting up to a half an inch or a full inch of rain in throughout the San Francisco area, and that's typically what in the Bay Area they experience for the entire month of May. We are forecasting up to a foot of snow in the greater Lake Tahoe area, and of course we will have that rain in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday in the Pacific Northwest. Enjoy your Friday.
All right, Roberta, thank you. 2 national monuments here in the West are growing. Today, the Biden administration announced the expansion of Southern California's San Gabriel Mountains National Monument in Pasadena and Northern California's Berryessa Snow Mountain National Monument in Sacramento. Governor Gavin Newsom posted a video on social media talking about the importance of growing these monuments by thousands of acres.
All a testament to the commitment of the Biden administration to continue to expand these remarkable inheritances, this remarkable open space, wild and scenic beauty that generations have enjoyed. Now generations to come will get to enjoy as well.
Today's expansions come after calls from tribal nations, indigenous community leaders, and others to protect cultural land and address climate change. Well, inflation continues to tick up instead of down to the Fed's target 2% rate. At its latest meeting this week, the Fed chose to keep interest rates unchanged as they remain at a 20-year high of roughly 5.25%. And many investors predict that rates will remain elevated for longer. This week, the Fed hinted it doesn't plan to cut rates until it has greater confidence that inflation is slowing substantially. Earlier today, we spoke with certified financial planner James McBride from the McBride Group. He says the economy is still in good shape overall because unemployment remains low.
If you do have a lot of people working, people are making money, right. Hey, they're going to spend that money, and 2/3 of our GDP is consumer spending. So there's a lot of good news in that.
Inflation has cooled from its peak of 7.1%, and many investors say they only expect one rate cut, if that, later on this year, not the 2 or 3 that had been expected earlier in the year. The number of people filing for unemployment benefits was unchanged last week. New claims for benefits came in at 208,000. Jobless claims have remained in a range of 194,000 to 225,000 this year. Continuing claims for those who are continuing to get benefits came in at 1.7 million. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a new effort is underway to change the way refunds are issued to air travelers when their flights get canceled. Tonight we'll tell you how this could save customers money. Plus, a special newborn arrives on a beach in Hawaii. What's being done to protect this monk seal pup? U.S. senators from Washington and Texas are teaming up now to tweak a new flight delay and cancellation rule. Washington Senator Maria Cantwell and Texas Senator Ted Cruz are worried new rules forcing airlines to refund customers for canceled or significantly delayed flights may not go far enough to protect consumers. They say consumers could find themselves booking more expensive replacement flights, so they're pushing a bill that would force airlines to give customers an option to request credits that can be used toward future flights or a refund. Those credits would be good for at least 5 years. One of Hawaii's beloved monk seals named Kaiwi birthed her 6th pup yesterday on Kaimana Beach on the island of Oahu. The pup is getting special attention from wildlife organizations because the monk seal species is highly endangered. KHON's Alina Lee explains what wildlife groups are doing now to protect the newborn.
With May Day celebrations across the state, perhaps the biggest party was a birthday on Kaimana Beach.
I've lived here my whole life, and it's the very first time I have ever seen a newborn baby seal. I've seen them when they're a little bit older, but this is my first time ever seeing one that was like born today.
We can confirm that we have a brand new Hawaiian monk seal pup. Hawaiian monk seals are one of the most endangered seal species in the entire world, and they're only found here in Hawaii.
One of Hawaii's iconic monk seals, Kaiwi, birthed her 6th pup as of Wednesday morning.
It's not something that you see all the time, and it's just really protected and special to everyone who lives here just because of the rarity of it.
Members are putting up fencing and posting signs to block off people from getting too close to the monk seal mom and pup, which could endanger themselves or the animals.
Monk seal harassment is a Class C felony, which means that you can get up to a year in prison.
A portion of Kaimana Beach will remain closed for the next 5 to 7 weeks as officials monitor the endangered monk seals. Hawaiian Marine Animal Response says Kaiwi almost always weans or leaves her pups at about 6 weeks. Until then, the public is asked to respect posted signs for the safety of Kaiwi and her new May Day pup.
This is their area. We share it with them. So be mindful of any signage, any barriered areas.
They've actually bitten swimmers before who they have perceived as a threat to their pup. So it's really important for your safety that you choose a different beach to swim at during this nursing period.
Officials say peak pupping season for Oahu is usually between April and September. For Kaiwi, this is the 3rd pup she's given birth to here on Kaimana Beach. Alina Lee, KHON 2 News, working for Hawaii.
All right, that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching, and a reminder, before we go, you can stay up to date on all the stories that we are covering across the West. All you need to do is head to our website. It is westcoastwrap.com. You can also stream our shows on your smart TV by downloading the free Fox Local app. We'll leave you tonight with this beauty shot of downtown San Francisco. Have a great night.